I grew up in the vibrant, busy streets of East London, a child of two worlds. My mother, Italian and fiery. My father, a West African man who had once been Muslim but left it all behind before I was born. My childhood was a Protestant one, filled with talk of God, but my mind was a storm of questions. I couldn't grasp how a human being like me could be worshipped as divine. When I asked for clarity, the answer was always the simple, frustrating, just have faith. But my true introduction to peace happened through a window. When I was 8, I'd crouch on the ledge of our first-floor flat and peer down at an old shipping container across the street. It was a makeshift mosque. I watched the men move in unison, standing, bowing, and pressing their foreheads to the ground. In the middle of my parents' constant, loud arguments, that rhythm looked like an anchor. One day, after a particularly bad fight, I grabbed my mother's beautiful Pakistani print shawl, spread it on the floor, and mimicked those movements. I didn't know the words, but I knew I was asking the Creator to make the fighting stop. I felt, for the first time, that God was listening. As I entered my teens, my curiosity turned into a strange kind of defiance. I had a friend, a Somali girl who lived a life of deep hardship and domestic struggle, yet she carried a stillness I couldn't understand. She told me it was her iman, her faith. I decided to prove her wrong. I started researching Islam, reading articles and opening the Quran with a cynical heart, determined to find a flaw, anything to save her from what I thought was a backward, oppressive religion. I hated the idea of the hijab. I thought it was a barrier to success. But the more I looked for holes, the more I found myself falling into the truth. The scientific accuracy, the unwavering logic of one single creator, the sheer beauty of the text, it began to overwhelm me. I threw my books away. I stopped talking to my friends. I was terrified because I knew that if I accepted this, my entire life would have to change. One afternoon, I stood at a crosswalk, waiting for the green man signal. As the light changed and people began to surge forward, my feet stayed glued to the pavement. A sudden, paralyzing thought hit me. If a car hit me right now, and I died knowing this truth, but refusing to testify to it, what would happen to me? I called my friend that day. I told her I was ready. The fallout was more painful than I ever imagined. When I told my mother I was Muslim, she looked at me like a stranger. At 17, the woman who raised me told me her responsibility was over, and she no longer needed to be my mother. Being disowned at that age, being told you are on your own while trying to navigate a new faith, broke me. I felt a loneliness so deep it turned into physical illness. I eventually called my father from a hospital bed, begging him to take me home. I took off my hijab, I stopped praying, and I tried to run away from the truth for 2 years. But you can't fill a God-shaped hole with anything else. That emptiness eventually brought me back, not because of a group or a person, but because I missed my connection with my Lord. I began reading one page of the Quran in English every day. I returned to prayer on my own terms, and the sweetness of that return was better than the first time. The most incredible part of my story, however, is my mother's. Years after we had been estranged, she began her own quiet search. She became a bookworm for Islamic history. She started watching YouTube videos, specifically drawn to the wisdom of Sheikh Khalid Yasin. In 2021, I managed to arrange a surprise Zoom meeting between them. She didn't know it was him at first, but she told him she believed there was only one God and that Muhammad was his messenger. When he finally revealed his identity, the joy was overwhelming. She came back to the faith, and our bond was healed. People ask if I lost my freedom when I put on the hijab or accepted Islam. I tell them I finally found it. We are all slaves to something, whether it's the pursuit of wealth, the approval of others, or our own desires. I chose to be a servant to the one who is perfect and eternal. Islam didn't suppress me. It gave me a status that the world could never offer. It taught me that my value isn't in my appearance, but in my soul's journey toward its creator. To anyone searching, look at the design of a single leaf or the depth of the ocean. Everything in this universe has a purpose. If a flower has a reason to bloom, don't you think you have a reason to exist? I can help you turn these scripts into a storyboard for a video, or even generate some voiceover-ready captions for social media. Would you like me to do that?